it's 80. Can we make it 90? Like, because this is what actually we should be carrying. And that was a success of the regulation that was needed. So I'm just saying is that, again, I definitely agree that, we cannot imagine the future that well. So it should be reactive. But I'm saying, regulations have to show up here. So.
Oh, actually, but that was the precise reason I brought up the seatbelt, because that is because in innovation and safety, the principal point we were trying to make with some vigor is that you do get, and it continues, by the way, because it isn't, to go back to the car narrative, actually, in fact, crumple, airbags, etc., were continued to be developed as new features to why buy my car versus your car.
Yes.
They didn't come out by government-directed safety regulation. They came out by, my car is safer. You should buy my car versus.
Yeah, but that only emerged after a while when the narrative of safety came in, and then there was the star ratings and so on, and that's.
But this is the whole point of it is the general kind of, call it, well-intentioned critical dialogue is the companies themselves don't actually, in fact, build the safety. The market actually, in fact, doesn't build the safety. And the answer is, yes, it does the entire time. But what I agree with is it's some safety. Like, there are safety features. Some of the safety emerges by the natural action of companies in markets competing, in part because if they go, oh, I can differentiate against yours because mine's better on this vector, then you start getting innovation as safety on a very natural basis. And there could be a broad range. It could be brand. It could be, motivating your employees. It could be any number of things that do that for natural market mechanisms. So you do get a bunch of safety from natural market mechanisms ongoing. But the reason I brought up seatbelts is because, no, that's not complete. And there is a role for governments. There is a role for safety institutes. There is a role, but it should be at best, it's prevent catastrophic. And catastrophic is not like, oh, look, the AI agent slandered Alex. That's not catastrophic. May feel catastrophic to you.
It definitely would.
But it's not actually, in fact,
I think we need to pause this AI thing,
Exactly. But real catastrophic, and then iterative as we're learning and going. Because again, part of my point, even to like the doomers and so forth, is to have some epistemic humility about, well, what is the exact shape of what we're going into? Because the answer is, even the smartest amongst us, I think, are going to get it very wrong. And by the way, I include that with me. So I'm like, I can give very specific predictions about like, here's the utopia, here's the dystopia, here's the potopia, et cetera, in terms of doing it. But I'm always have like some skepticism in all of my answers because of that epistemic humility. And that's the reason I tend to go like, the real interesting question is, how do we navigate to be seeing as we're going? And what's the way that the tool set will be increasing our capabilities to choose the positive topias over the negative topias as we're going, and to think of ourselves as learning creatures, not just from the data, but also from this is how our judgment should work. This is what the actual possibility landscape looks like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the iterative development mindset that I'm, kind of advocating with such vigor.
Well, definitely you don't have to convince me to iterative deployment. Like, I'm a big fan of it. OpenAI, I guess, was a known early adopter of iterative deployment, and I believe in it. Just, again, the one thing that I always want to be cautious about is just like, if you look at climate change, right? Like, as you said, like, we kind of know it's coming, and okay, well, not everyone agrees, but most people agree. But even when among the people who agree, kind of there's always this unwillingness of saying, okay, like the connection between what I'm doing right now versus the change, like, makes it, it's like a tragedy of the commons in some ways. It's just like, it's fine, and kind of it's hard to get this collective action together. So, like, I think it comes from the fact that the more distant the effect, cause and effect is, the harder for us is to factor into, even in this iterative deployment. So anyway, this was great. I want to kind of go back to one other aspect that I wanted to